What's the deal with airline food? Well, today we are going to talk beyond that terrible, very, very overused comedy line and talk about the actual reason why airline food is horrendous. Hello! Welcome to Brainspill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and for anyone that has ever boarded a plane and ordered food on it, you'll know that what you get 9 times out of 10 is a sweaty lunchbox full of food that has basically been wrapped up in plastic bags, that has absolutely no taste to it whatsoever, and is probably the blandest thing you'll have eaten all day. Quality cuisine at its finest, people. And this really seems to be the case regardless of what you order. Be it breakfast, lunch, dinner, doesn't matter. It just tastes of nothing. But it's not so much the airline's fault that that's the case. There are a number of factors involved here, which kind of makes it difficult for the airlines to actually serve you food that tastes good. Doesn't necessarily mean that the food's bad, there's just a lot of other things at play. So, what's the common denominator in all of this? Every time you get on a flight and the food is terrible, probably due to the fact that you're on a flight, 30,000 feet in the air. So, what's there to be said about that? Something science related, I imagine. The science behind tasting something is not just the taste of using your mouth and taste buds, but also the use of your nose in conjunction to create the unique flavour extravaganza. Our sensation of taste starts with the smells and odours around us that stimulate the nerves in a small area located high in the nose. The sweet, sour or other smells stimulate the brain and affect the actual flavour of the foods we eat. It's common to think that the sense of taste is a distinctly separate sense from our other senses. In reality, it's actually a mixture of the two. This chemical sense pulls on a variety of things to give us that sharp taste when we eat something sour, or, on the other hand, when we taste something sweet, such as when we eat Mama's baked cookies. So yeah, that's a basic rundown of how taste works. Taking you back to your chemistry lesson here. But when you're 30,000 feet in the air, those sensors are significantly dulled, and there's a number of factors involved which have an impact on both your taste and your smell. This is things such as a lack of humidity, low air pressure, and, funnily enough, the noise of the plane engine. Yep, that one I ain't making up. That's an actual thing that affects your taste. Yeah, the first two I can sort of understand, but background noise? Charles Spence, Professor of Experimental Psychology at Oxford University, thinks that this is the case. The noise from the engines on a commercial flight is somewhere in the range of 80 to 85 decibels. The exact figure depends on where you sit relative to the plane's engines, and on the type of aircraft you find yourself flying in. A number of studies have demonstrated that loud background noise deleteriously affects taste perception. One study referenced in this paper found that the taste of sweetness was suppressed when test participants were subjected to 85 decibels of aircraft noise. This just throws everything out of whack, and sort of explains why airline food is so bland. Yeah, so that kind of explains part of it, I guess, and also why you don't tend to get a lot of sweet things when you're on a flight, mainly because if they're giving you, you're probably not going to taste it anyway. So yes, as well as the obvious sound of being on a plane, the air inside a plane, the dry air, is recycled every 2 to 3 minutes, meaning that, well, the air is not quite as fresh as what you are normally used to and acclimatized to back on the ground. This means that the humidity is much lower than that of what you'd expect when on the ground. Lower levels of ambient humidity have an impact on perception and aromas. The lower cabin air pressure affects the sense of smell, with a standard flight reaching cruising altitude found that specifically the tastes of bitterness, saltiness and sweetness were heavily affected by altitude changes, something that scientists were able to emulate in pressure-controlled test chambers. A study was undertaken in 2010 by Germany's Fraunhofer Institute for Building Physics to simulate a flight. A special lab was used to reduce air pressure, sucking moisture out of the air and simulating an engine noise from the plane. They even made the seats vibrate to make it feel like you were on a plane. Sounds lovely. Interestingly, the results of this study also showed that sweetness and saltiness were heavily impacted by the stimulated environment. So my fellow science nerds out there is a correlation starting to be built here. Maybe we aren't all so crazy after all. So basically, putting it simply, every time that the airline looks to serve food, they have to be quite careful with what they serve. And if it's anything with any saltiness or sweetness in it, then the airline has to go out of their way and add some more to make it a little bit more easy to pick up. So at the end of the day, if those sensors in particular are dulled, the food needs to be specially prepared to make sure that it doesn't taste like cardboard and it actually has something to it. You know, something more than the taste of cardboard. Okay, yes, so let's try and make this food taste better. Out of the options of the steak and fish, I chose the lasagna. Despite what the airlines tell you, it all seems to be like the same type of food over and over again, boring and uninspired, and it's the same few dishes. But fellow viewer, there is a good reason for that too. And again, it's kinda also not the airline's fault. Fully. Because of food safety standards, all meals must be cooked on the ground. Then the food is packed, refrigerated, and then when it's placed on board the flight, reheated in the air using ovens. This entire process also has an impact on the food, given how it's cooked, cooled, and then reheated again. So yeah, it's kinda like having a ready meal. It's quick and easy, but you know for a fact that it's got nothing on anything really fresh. It's not the real deal, it's just an easy shortcut to a meal to fill you up for a few hours. For an airline who serves thousands of customers each day, 30,000 feet in the air, there's a few different things to take into account, and for them to have to cook the food on the ground first, options are quite limited. Plus, I also imagine that it can save them a lot of money doing it this way. Airline chefs are unique in that they mass-produce recipes for thousands of customers. Many times the final product is not what was originally envisioned due to things outside their control. We design food with ingredients and packing we know can survive the long process between food preparation and delivery. So, we now know through the wonders of science why airline food is so terrible. And I know what you're typing. Can we do anything to make it better? Well, people are trying. Slowly but surely. Some airlines are starting to experiment with state-of-the-art kitchens and basically having refrigerated cabinets that they can move around to try and keep food as fresh as possible without it going all sweaty and bland like it normally does. This, in theory, should hopefully prevent food from being overcooked by being cooked on the ground and then reheated back when it's on the plane. Other considerations being tested are to try and mitigate these changes in the cabin by using a range of noise-cancelling headphones and even by serving a particular dish which contains a taste called umami. This is apparently largely unaffected by being on board a flight, so anything with this in, such as tomatoes, is a good shout. Bloody Marys all around. Look, I could sit here all day and talk to you about everything I found online of how airlines are trying to improve the quality of food on flights, and I'm sure that is fantastic content, but I'm only going to believe it when I actually sit down in one of those chairs, someone serves me a lunchbox of food, and it actually tastes like the real deal. Until then, I'll believe it when I see it. If you like the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas for what topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. The next time you're at a comedy club and someone pulls out that tired line about airline food, I need you to do me a favour. I need you to go and stand in the back of the comedy club and at the top of your lungs shout out pretty much air cabin pressure, humidity, engine noises, and that is the deal with airline food. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.